It's a new era for connectivity. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. With us from T-Mobile is Consumer Group Marketing VP Alice Williams. Hi, Alice.
Hi, Fred. Good to be with you.
Good to see you. Now, it has been a busy month of July at T-Mobile. First off, T-Satellite in partnership with Starlink has officially launched. Give us the overview.
We've been on this journey with Starlink for about 3 years, believe it or not. We set out on this joint partnership with a vision of eliminating dead zones. So we had a mission of, we imagined a world rather where if you could see the sky, you were connected. And it specifically targeted the 500,000 or so square miles of American terrain that no cellular network covers today. So this isn't like a Verizon versus AT&T versus T-Mobile thing. This is none of us cover these areas. So you can imagine everything from remote oil rigs or national parks or other wilderness areas, country roads in between connecting two small towns, remote deserts, all these sort of areas where, for better or worse, despite all of our best efforts, we just can't connect terrestrially. So this targeted that space, and T-Satellite's launch last week is sort of the first major milestone in realizing that vision. We're seeing some really cool use cases come out of it, and specifically we had sort of a multiple months, really extensive beta that allowed us to learn a lot about the service. We got a ton of people using it and giving us feedback. And by far the most noteworthy use case is during emergency services. And we see it unfold in sort of two different ways. The first is individually, where say you or I might be on a remote hike or on the side of a mountain face or broken down on the side of the road. T-Satellite has enabled dozens and counting of people in emergency situations to reach out and ask for help and get it. So that's huge. But also it unfolds in a sort of more mass way, where when there are major extreme weather events like hurricanes or wildfires, or most recently the tragic floods in Texas, we're able to turn on T-Satellite when the terrestrial networks are down to allow people in entire communities to communicate back and forth and let their loved ones know they're okay or ask for help. So those two things are sort of the major emerging use cases of why people really love this product, but there are myriad others that are more recreational and or functional in nature as well.
Well, what should consumers know about T-Satellite and how to use it?
I think it's kind of cool to get to geek out on the technology element first. I mean, the fact is we took a radio that might normally hang on a cell tower and strapped it on a satellite and fired it into space. And then we did that 650 more times. So we now have the largest direct-to-cell network beaming down from 650 satellites that are orbiting the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour. So that alone is a really novel idea. We also are using our dedicated spectrum, which means we have better control over the orchestration of the experience, and we allow it to kind of connect seamlessly to the device you have. So as it relates to how the user experiences it, we had three main requirements. The first was coverage had to be ubiquitous. It had to be sort of targeting that sort of full 500,000 miles of unreachable area. The second was, and that's where the 650 satellites come in, they sort of blanket the nation, right? The second was you had to be able to use your own device. We didn't want people to have a special piece of hardware. And the third was we wanted it to just connect seamlessly back and forth with T-Mobile's terrestrial network. We didn't want you to have to fire up a special app or make a change in your network settings. We wanted it to just work. And so I'm happy to say that T-Satellite does all of those things, right? It sort of, when you leave our terrestrial network, when you leave the roaming network, T-Satellite sort of fires up automatically, connects to the phone in your pocket, and enables you to message the people that you care about almost seamlessly.
Using the same messaging app as you always would.
Yes, absolutely. And coming later this year, we're going to enable what we call SAT data, which is it's kind of a modified data experience that will allow you to use third-party apps like WhatsApp, for example. So we're coming out with a number of app-based partners that will allow you to have a modified data experience on satellite as well.
Now, in the future, do you see this going beyond just the messaging using text?
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that coming in sort of small steps in the near future. So for example, we started with text-based messaging, but we now have some devices compatible with picture messaging and more coming online with picture messaging in the next couple of months. And then, as I mentioned, later this year, we'll have the data capability. Voice, at least voice in the way we know it, being able to just make a phone call and have it totally, latency free, is probably farther out. So think of it in the same way as sort of the birth and and growth of the cellular experience, right? It was sort of spotty to begin with, and it sort of has come to be better and better and better. So we definitely have ambitions for that, but in the near term, we're focused on messaging and data.
Now, I know that the satellite service is really global, but is this being restricted for use in the U.S. right now?
It is for us simply because we're a domestic carrier. However, when we launched with Starlink, we built a sort of coalition and made a call to action to other carriers around the globe, publishing sort of our practices for how we're doing this and encouraging them to sign on as well. So that playbook exists, and we encourage carriers around the world to adopt it. It obviously is a huge technology and a lift from them, but we're happy to say we're working with several partners globally that will enable sort of a reciprocal roaming experience on satellite when you travel to those countries. So we'll announce those as they come available.
And for consumers in the US who've made the horrible mistake of not being T-Mobile customers, they can make use of this too? Tell us how.
They can. So if you are a customer of another carrier, first of all, I'm sorry, and we're here for you when you're ready. But you can, if you choose not to switch, you can buy T-Satellite for $10 a month, and we enable it on, what we call a secondary eSIM on compatible devices. So we activate a secondary SIM that you can leverage to use T-Satellite for connectivity.
Terrific. And along those lines, T-Mobile has been named the best mobile network in America in a report from Ookla, third-party independent. It's OOKLA if you want to look it up. So congratulations on that. And tell us what that means for your customers and potential customers.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. I'm glad you mentioned that. The award was awesome. It was for those of us, I've been here 9 years. For those of us who have been here years and sort of lived through this world where we were last in the 4G era and have sort of spent the 5G era climbing back and leapfrogging our competition, the award was simply a nice moment and created a window for us to have a kind of coming out party and say to the world, like, we're not only the best 5G, we are the best overall network, as proven by this test from Ookla Speed Test, which measured millions of devices and 500 million data points to gauge performance. And so that's what Best Network sort of meant at that moment. But for us, it was just a platform to remind people objectively, we have the most towers, we have the most advanced spectrum holdings, which create better performance. And we have the most advanced 5G technology, which enables deeper, more advanced use cases. So we're really out there loud and proud saying we're the best. Of course, our competition are entitled to a defense on that, but we view it as a moment to say there's really never been a better time to become a T-Mobile customer.
And lots of folks have probably seen the Billy Bob Thornton commercials that you have running, touting all of this, right?
I sure hope so. We love those. He's done a great job for us. He's surprisingly adept at carrying our message.
And T-Satellite is part of this whole picture that you're putting together.
It is. We see it as a sort of adjacent to our network, right? So we don't want to conflate the satellite experience with the amazing, latency-free, near perfect advanced experience you can have on 5G. They're two different experiences. So yes, we believe that satellite is an important add to our connectivity story, but first and foremost, we're really proud of our best network, and that's sort of the lion's share, the vast majority of how customers use T-Mobile's network. But we count connectivity or satellite connectivity as sort of an and, right? It's sort of this extra layer of coverage in the same way that we offer an international roaming service when you travel abroad or in-flight Wi-Fi when you're on a plane. We want to be in the business of anytime you need connectivity, T-Mobile can offer it, and T-Satellite is just yet another feather in the cap to be able to do that.
Where can people go for more info?
T-Mobile.com is the best and fastest place, but you can also come by any T-Mobile store. We'd be happy to see you there.
Alice Williams, thank you so much for spending time with us, and congratulations once again.
Thank you, Fred. Great to meet you.